So, welcome to our inaugural, I guess, metaverse recording. My name is Kat Casey. I'm the Chief Growth Officer for Reveal, and I've been fascinated with metaverse for the all 3 minutes that it's been around. And I think there's a lot of really interesting legal questions. And so I was stoked when Stephen said that he wanted to record a podcast in the metaverse and talk about all these crazy things. So that's why I'm here.
Hi, Kat. Hi, Stephen. I'm Gina. I'm editor-in-chief of the American Lawyer and the Global Legal Brands for ALM, and I have been petrified of the metaverse for the 3 minutes that it's been around and was very nervous when Stephen asked me to come in and do this. But nonetheless, it is here. It is impacting the legal industry. We are following it, and so I am super happy to talk about it, particularly with two people who understand it way better than I do. So it's great to join you guys.
AKA 5%. We understand it 5%.
I think Kat is leading us with that 5%. When I initially came up with this idea, I started talking to different people, and I think of them, Kat probably knows the most about the metaverse. Gina called me saying she wasn't sure she really knew enough about the metaverse or NFTs to be talking about it, but I'm in the same boat with her, so we're all just here to learn and talk about it, especially from a legal perspective. Do we want to hop in this scary fountain and see what it does?
Let's go into the great
All
unknown.
right, let's try. Oh, I'm already. I think I've
all right.
around.
All right, awesome.
Well, we can turn around. Did we lose Gina?
I'm coming. All right.
I recommend you look to your right because there's a pretty awesome bartending octopus.
Ooh.
Do we want to talk to the Doge?
Beefy Doge? That was interesting, yeah.
That is a one.
So I guess what might make sense is to kind of set the stage for folks. So what you're looking at is it's a web-based or kind of a digital universe with avatars. So the guy in the green is Stephen. I'm in a red dress. They're digital representations of yourself. If you said, hey, man, the clothes they have there really sucks, you can buy a digital file called an NFT, and you can get your own skin, as in make your avatar look like a very beefy dog or an octopus, or you can change your shirt, or you can change your music. I probably wouldn't recommend becoming a 6'4" Doge because he's already here. But it's a really interesting concept because there's a lot of commerce that can happen, interactivity, and each one of these little kind of human avatars that you see walking around has a actual human behind a keyboard interacting with it or using Oculus or some other kind of 3D visual augmented reality. So it's kind of weird. It's kind of a hybrid. Am I online? Am I in person? What's going on? I don't know.
And it raises interesting questions of access too, as this becomes more of a commercial space. You start to wonder if this guy over here, is he doing it through an Oculus headset? Is he here because he's going over to the JP Morgan office? What's that guy doing? All of these kind of raise questions of who's going to be able to get in, who's going to be able to use it to differing degrees based on their investment. It just raises a lot of questions about how this will be used and how different people will be able to access it.
Well, and also who owns what? If I buy a orange dress, because I said, hey, I want to wear an orange dress, right?
Right.
Whose dress am I buying? Is it whatever Ann Taylor that made it, or is it Joe the coder, or is it the metaverse that's being hosted by Facebook or Microsoft or whoever owns Decentraland, which is where we're living? I got no idea.
And it kind of raises questions about the limits of IP. Of what if I create a near carbon copy of a Nike shoe? How close is too close when it's digital?
Mm-hmm.
And it even makes me think of, Gina, you were talking about AmLaw 200. We started to see some law firms opening up in the metaverse, right?
They definitely are. And it's not just, I mean, we have some AmLaw 200 firms. Iron Fox was one of the first ones to jump in there. And that was a bit surprising, to be a little bit honest. Mainly, though, you're seeing firms in the personal injury or consumer facing space, I would say. The smaller firms who really want to use this as a way to meet and introduce and inform clients about the types of services that they have and that kind of thing. But I have heard, and a colleague of mine was at a meeting with a group of AmLaw 200, 100 and beyond marketers, and they said, we are all thinking about the metaverse.
Wow.
And the amount of law firms that are not, maybe they're not opening offices in the metaverse or Decentraland or anywhere else yet, but they are actively creating practice areas around this and seeing the work. And this is firms globally, this is firms of all sizes. And I mean, it's not just a, hey, this is a marketing thing. We might want to just throw around a practice group and say that we have it. I mean, there's a little bit of that, but this is real work, a lot of dollars coming in. We have an article coming out soon that my colleague's working on about how plaintiffs firms are gearing up for litigation over things like data privacy and what you mentioned, Kat, about the IP related issues and everything. It's coming, and it's already here in terms of figuring this stuff out and how to help businesses navigate this. And so lawyers are learning a bit on the fly. But I mean, Kat, you probably have thoughts on this, having kind of seen other technological evolutions in the legal industry. Do they have at least a framework for where to go, the lawyers who want to get in and advise clients? I mean, is there any sort of law they can draw from?
And if you guys want to follow me to the NFT gallery while you talk or while you answer that, Kat.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's we look at what happened with social media and the internet, where it went from like, oh, a bunch of college kids are looking at each other's faces, ha ha ha, who cares, to a multi-billion-dollar advertising agency where there really was kind of no holds barred. And so we kind of know the areas that you want to have, thoughts and ideas around creating safety. Both in terms of safety for individual IP, safety for the individual users. There's always the law of unintended consequences. There'll be areas that the metaverse impacts law that we haven't even begun to conceive of. But I think that the big ones are always going to be, IP, personal data privacy, the ability to extract information from the metaverse to support litigation or investigations. I mean, where does the metaverse data lie? Who owns it? Who's responsible for it? I think about the more recent shift to moving and using collaboration tools, which weren't even thought, they hadn't even thought of e-discovery as a factor. Slack, you couldn't export the data for the first, several months. And so I think we'll have issues like that, but hopefully there's lessons learned from other tech that has taken the country by storm and having to play catch up. It's interesting though. I mean, I think if you look at the 14 or however many $billion Facebook has dumped in, the billions being dumped in by a lot of consumer grade retail, big banks. I mean, the fact that there's a PwC office and a JPMC office, it says to me this is a canary in the coal mine, meaning will Decentraland be the final one? Will Metaverse even be the final one? Who the heck knows? But
or even will there be a final one? Or will there be kind of links between different versions that maybe you can even transfer your digital wallet between? I mean.
Well, and that's my thought. And it's sort of like the internet. People thought, literally there was a Times article that said the internet effectively is going to die and is stupid in like 1992 or something, because it was basically very slow loading adult content, very weird chat rooms and AOL, but clearly there was a way to monetize it. There was a way to extract value and stickiness to it. People wanted to hang out in here. And I think the fact that it's 2 p.m. on a Wednesday, we popped into Metaverse, and I think within 5 minutes had 10 people chatting at us and 50 people in the landing spot. And you look around, each one of these little people that you see, these aren't like video games where they're, just background noise. That's another human interacting with the metaverse. So.
Right. Are you able to see my screen, Kat?
I can. I don't know how to get to it, so I'm just watching.
Yeah. I saw that you can click into these and see whether they're for sale, see what the Ethereum cost is. I wonder too, so that makes me wonder, kind of like you were just talking about, will we be able to transfer NFT, not just digital wallet and cryptocurrency, but supposed digital property between these?
For sure. It makes me think of, and I think I talked with you guys about it, there was a movie a few years ago called Ready Player One, right? And it's cheesy, it's Hollywood, but what it was, hey, the world around me kind of wasn't great. Maybe there's a global pandemic going on. I don't know. But this alternate reality, I don't have to be who I am in real life. I can be very fit. I can be very wealthy. I can be very successful. I can be whatever I want. I can be a 6'4", very beefy dog if that's what I want, right? And that was the concept. The value that you stored in game was like in real life value, and people would take it to different pockets of this universe, this decentralized metaverse. And it would always be, Technocat would look the same in every little planet. Technocat would have the same armor and the same backpack and the same whatever the heck. If I wanted to get a really cool kitty cat NFT, that would be in my wallet somewhere, and I could then show people, look, I have a purple kitty cat NFT. I don't know if I would, but you never
Well, that even
know.
makes me wonder about identification, because you start to wonder about identity theft. Do you have an NFT that's uniquely recognizable that protects your identity? Is that kind of the only way, if you can change skins, if you can change what you look like, to be?
Well, and it just shows, I mean, it shows that people are going to have, or companies are going to probably not have a choice but to jump in here, because what if you do find out that somebody is misappropriating your image or your company's likeness in some form, and in a way that you don't want to be the case? So you do need to jump in and involve yourself in that litigation, or decide, you know what, if you can't beat them, join them, and I'll just take it over and then run it myself. It's just so fascinating. I can't, not, again, I told you I was petrified about all this. I'm clearly not like the leading innovator around technology. I don't think anybody would be surprised to hear that knows me, but it does make me think, as we talk about kind of the reasons why individuals would want to come here, all of our mental health coverage that we do, and just like that makes me nervous a little bit, I have to say. And I worry for the world when we want to dive in, and it just creates these added complexities. But boy, is that something that is ripe, not the mental health stuff so much, but just the added complexities that this world will create among so many issues. It's ripe for the legal industry, that's for sure.
Well, there's a real world impact. I mean, there's already been a lawsuit for Birkin, I think, a very fancy purse, right? Well, someone made a very similar knockoff of it, sold the NFT. The person who bought it then is like fighting with the makers of the Birkin bag, saying, oh, I own this IP. They're like, well, it's our bag. We own the IP, and we have 18,000 patents to show it. And so there's that. There's also, there have been assaults in the space. There's theft in the space. It's, you have to think, this isn't a video game, because every person in here is actually the human behind the keyboard, behind the Oculus. And so it's very human interactions in a very digital plane. Do my rights as a autonomous member of the EU transfer into a US hosted metaverse? Do my rights as Kat living in Texas transfer to a Russian hosted version of it?
Right.
If it's all commingled, how is there individual autonomy? Do my rights as a human or a business owner, or whatever the case may be, have the same full force and effect in the metaverse? And how do you enforce it? Like, I think, Stephen, you were saying, do we have metaverse police? Who would they, whose laws are they enforcing? Who do we say? Do we say, hey, Mark Zuckerberg, you're the one in charge? I don't know. It's interesting, because I think these are all questions we know to ask, Gina, to what you were saying, because we went through a lot of this with the internet. This is a lot of people are looking at this as internet 2.0. And if you look at it now, it's clunky. It's a little lumpy. I'm lost. I don't know where I am, literally. But if you look at internet 1.0 in 92, 93, 94, it was clunky. I was lost. None of the web pages loaded. It was nightmarish. It was terrible, and it was wonderful, right? So the foundation was very sticky. There was something impactful that was built on top of it. And, having gone through that ride, I sort of see inklings and vestiges of this almost being an internet 2, 3.0, whatever it might be.
Yeah, I know, that's interesting. And I think we're also out of time, but I wanted to thank you guys for coming on. This is episode 1 of Chats in the Metaverse. So very excited to see where we land next, and really appreciate the time you both gave.
Oh, my pleasure.
My
Love
pleasure.
in the metaverse.
Looking forward to next time.
Thanks, guys.
Bye now.